Everybody Hates Rand is a Wheel of Time podcast that will contain spoilers for all 14 books. So if you're anti-spoiler, pause this, read all 14 books, and come back. We'll be here, waiting.
Our title is a joke and is meant to be taken as such. In the context of this podcast, everybody refers to us and our cat. You are free to feel however you want about Rand, who is a fictional character. Don't DM us.
The world is a mess, Dark One stretching out his hand. The dragon's reborn, the fire's been fanned, but everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand.
Back in the saddle. Yeehaw.
Back, and worse than ever before.
We're back and have not improved in the slightest. It's still bad here.
Still bad. This is the copy of A
God,
Crown
what
of Swords
happened?
that I spilled Diet Coke on. And then I had to blow dry it, every individual Diet Coke stained page.
Jesus.
So,
The care you took for it is really
well,
astounding.
it was your copy and I felt really bad because I'm a mess.
Why would you feel bad when we have so many other copies?
This was before we had like 18,000 copies of every Wheel of Time book.
So this was one of the OGs,
Yeah.
right along with the copy of The Dragon Reborn that is duct taped
Yeah.
on the binding because it literally fell apart halfway through my, fifth reread or whatever.
Yeah. You can tell the original Wheel of Time books, Emily's original Wheel of Time books, because they are in various states of distress.
Well, at least I feel like the original Dragon Reborn and the original Crown of Swords are the most beloved.
That's true.
And you can tell because clearly they were handled.
Yeah.
Like I used to when I was, 12 or 13. I would just get out The Dragon Reborn and be like, time to reread some of those choice matte scenes. And I wish I could do that with A Crown of Swords, but all the matte scenes are depressing as fuck now.
Yeah, all the matte scenes involve sexual assault.
He's okay early on, I guess.
Yeah, I just got to the point in Winter's Heart where Matt comes back. It's very far into Winter's Heart where Matt comes back. And it's so upsetting.
She was like, Matt's not even here yet. Like, she's like 2/3 of the way through Winter's Heart. And I'm like, oh yeah, I always forget that he's actually gone for almost 2 books.
It's so upsetting.
Because Robert Jordan is a sadist and
Yeah.
hates us.
And I was like, oh my god, the dice tile, I'm so excited.
Yes.
And then it's like pain, suffering. So,
He has a super broken fucking leg.
yeah, he's like, I can't even sit because my leg hurts. And I'm like, big mood. And then he's like, whatever, we'll get there. It's just upsetting.
Yeah, first we have to get through
Yes.
A Crown of Swords. This says it's the acclaimed #1 international bestseller. Does that mean this book specifically, do you think? Or
Probably the whole series.
it also has a little circle that says the New York Times bestseller, which just sort of boggles the mind. It's hard for me to believe that, like, at any point a lot of people read Wheel of Time.
Yeah, it really does kind of boggle the mind to think about, like, Wheel of Time having, like, I hate saying this, but, like, a Game of Thrones moment in the zeitgeist where everyone was like, fuck yeah, Wheel of Time. Or, like, I guess these days it would be, what's the Brando Sando one? Rhythm of War. What's that
Rhythm of
series?
War? What's that?
I thought it was one of the books in his...
Oh, maybe that's the latest one. I don't know. What's it called? Fuck. Way of Kings. That's the first one. I don't know if it's
I don't know what the actual series is called.
Don't tweet us and tell us. I don't want to know.
Yeah, I feel like I should know because that's like obviously a lot of people who read Wheel of Time and are on Wheel of Time Twitter read this. But no, it's just...
All I can think is the Cosmere, but that's like his whole little world, his galaxy brain of books.
Whatever, man. But it's like weird to think that people were like, yeah, Crown of Swords is out in 1995 or whatever.
When was it? Where's the copyright page in the Diet Coke? Oh, there it is.
Stuck
It's
together.
peeled together. 1996.
Oh, dang. I was 1 year old.
Wow. I was, well, depending, either 2 or 3 years old. Tybalt, why does this have to happen?
You
every
could just sit in
fucking
it. Guys, it's like we never left.
Yeah, hey, this is Everybody Hates Rand, your friendly neighborhood wheelie time podcast. I'm Emily Jushaw.
Now I'm Sally Goodger. Are we switching back to you this season?
Might as well. You can do switch back and forth, odds and evens or something like that.
What's happening?
I don't know. Tybalt's like...
Okay, anyway, back to this. A Crown of Swords.
Yeah, I was getting a kick out of the like, you know, the page where they... Oh, goodbye.
Okay, bye.
Leaving a trail of cat hair on my yoga pants in his wake.
Getting a kick out of the review page.
Yeah, the review page, which in some Wheelie Time books is like 6 pages.
Yeah.
As though to cram in our, they're like, trust us. This is a really good book. And they do that in, like, you know, The Shadow Rising, the worst book.
They're like, we will indoctrinate you.
Yeah, it's like the editor, Robert Jordan's wife, reached the end and was like, that wasn't one of your stronger ones, babe. We better, you know, put in lots of praise at the very beginning. But Crown of Swords is one of the better books, so there's only 1 page.
Can stand on its own 2 feet.
And they are separated into praise for Robert Jordan, praise for The Wheel of Time, which has the same pretty much 3 quotes that appear in every, and praise for A Crown of Swords. And I didn't even read the praise for Robert Jordan, I just saw that it came from a person named Brewster Milton Robertson of Myrtle Beach, Sutton.
The only person in the world writing praise for Robert
Isn't
Jordan.
Myrtle Beach just like a beach in North Carolina?
Yeah, something like that.
Myrtle Beach, Sutton.
I bet he's just like Robert Jordan's childhood friend or something. Robert Jordan was from
Brewster?
one of the Carolinas, right?
Yeah. Brewster Milton Robertson.
It's gonna be our next cat.
His writing is distinguished as literature by the richness of its fabric, with all the charm and naivete of the Brothers Grimm, and
What?
the social/moral commentary of Huxley's Brave New World. What?
This is just full nonsense.
This is just words. It's
Yeah.
like that headline. Did you see that headline that was all about, like, Mexican porn star Nacho Vidal has been charged with manslaughter after a ritual where a guy died involving pig's blood or something.
What? Yeah, that's what this feels like.
Yeah, that's just like
I had the same
every
experience
word.
listening to you read that than listening to you talk about Nacho.
That's not even it. With his well fleshed out characters, none of that is hyphenated, even though it should be. Dark imagery, comic relief, bold
So
statement, yeah. Vivid landscapes and a fascinating sense of timelessness. It's the Wheel of Time.
know,
I would call it timeless.
No, it's very funny that he like missed the theme completely.
Jordan has created a complex literature with a language and reality all of its own. I mean, I would say that it has a language and reality all of its own. In Robert Jordan's language and reality, women are... What the... Is that only chapter... Okay, thank fuck. I was flipping through the book, and at page 136, which is a good chunk of the book, I saw chapter 5, but I thought it was chapter 2 and had a panic attack.
I also thought it was chapter 2 looking over your shoulder, and I was like,
God.
actually, Crown of Swords is bad.
Well, I do think this... Look at how long this chapter is.
Yeah, I don't know why Robert Jordan's like, I love front-loading really long chapters at the beginning of my book, and the books, and then they just sort of taper out to being reasonably-ish sized chapters.
Yeah, the prologue's a solid 50 pages, which is unfortunate. Crown of Swords. Let's talk about Crown of Swords, baby. Let's talk about you and me.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me.
Oh god, that
Let's talk
advertises the
about all
soundtrack
the
for The Wheel of
things.
Time. Remember when we looked that up?
I sure do. Remember when we had the whole episode about Perrin being a furry and we talked about ABO extensively?
Yeah, I could talk more about ABO, the Omega Verse. I could talk all about it all day long. Not because I've read it extensively, but because I watched several video essays.
I'll get into video essays this fall.
They're pretty fun.
Yeah, I think I would enjoy them.
Yeah, they're just like, they're very, chill.
Yeah. You'll have to send me some of your faves.
Okay. All right.
I'm giving you homework.
I'll do it. Thanks.
Okay, A Crown of Swords. The title comes from Rand's dumb crown that he gets at the end of the book when he becomes king of Ilion or whatever, and he literally has a crown with little pointy swords on it.
Yeah, it's like laurel crown, right? Isn't
Yeah.
it called? Like, in ancient Greece when they did
Good sports.
the Olympic Games and good sports naked, everyone would be like, here, have a leaf crown.
Yeah.
And that was like super high honor, even though like it would probably be gross and sticky, and you'd be sweaty.
Yeah.
And naked. So I don't really see the appeal. But I also don't really see the appeal of being a monarch, so that might just be a personal problem. Yeah, this is the book in which Rand sort of fucks around and finds out until the very, very end when he decides to attack Sammael, and does so successfully despite almost zero planning or payoff regarding the last 2 books of planning to attack Sammael.
It's so frustrating. In classic Rand style, he basically just has like a rage attack and is like, I will now kill Sammael.
Yeah, Rand's like favorite fucking thing to do is to be like, oh my god, the Forsaken are after me. I really have to like think this one through. I have to be super patient and just like, not attack, not lose my temper and not attack them right away because they're very scary. And of course, if I do that, then they'll kill me. Mm-hmm. And then something happens, like Elaine's mom, quote unquote, dying, or Rand getting stabbed. And he's like, time to do murder.
Yeah.
And then he just teleports straight to their house.
Ding dong.
And it's like, ding dong, the witch is dead. Yeah. Or about to be, you fuckos.
Yeah.
And then it goes on like this Kill Bill fucking murder spree.
Yeah.
And the Forsaken don't kill him.
Yeah.
Because he's the protagonist. He has plot armor. They were never going to successfully kill him.
Yeah, Sammael's like, there's absolutely no way I could kill this man who is not thinking logically at all, who has just teleported into my house.
Yeah.
And has no idea of the lay of the land.
You would think.
There's absolutely no way.
There are multiple points in this book where Rand and Lews Therin are chatting, and Lews Therin's like, Sammael is the most dangerous when he's on the defense.
Yeah.
And Rand's like, I'm just going to ignore that. Robert Jordan is just going to ignore that. Sammael's a weak-ass pussy who can't do shit. He got killed by fog. How inglorious. My name's Sammael, and I got taken out by mist. I got taken out by the embodiment of Axe body spray.
Well, I bet Sammael would wear Axe body spray.
Yeah, I feel like Mashadar, is that what it is? I always get confused between Mashadar and Makin Shin because they look the same.
Correct.
And they're both a sentient wind or mist or whatever.
Yeah, one's in the Ways, right? And then the other one is in,
Yeah, Makin Shin
Shadar
is
Logoth.
in the Ways, and I would argue is really cool, except for the paragraphs we always have to read about tearing flesh and whatnot.
That's disgusting.
But otherwise, I think it's like a cool concept, the like corruption of this travel system. I wish the Ways got utilized a little bit more in this series, but then Robert Jordan does discover teleportation and is like, we're never fucking using those again. Makin Shin is the sentient mist that haunts Shadar Logoth, which I think is I don't like it as much. I don't know why. I just feel like with Shadar Logoth, a haunted city, you could do better than sentient mist,
Yeah.
You could do like a ghost army.
Ooh.
Or something.
Bunch of ghost horses.
More creepy haunting things.
Yeah.
Ghost horses. The most powerful form of horses. I'm playing Breath of the Wild and I spent like seriously an hour trying to mount a goddamn horse. Which I don't know why I was struggling so much. I just like wanted to get a horse so I could register it at the stables and name it and then, be able to call for it when I'm walking around on the road or whatever, and it would be faster to have a horse. But I could not mount a fucking horse until I got attacked by skeletons. Which happens occasionally in Breath of the Wild when there's a blood moon.
Okay.
So I got attacked by skeletons, including one skeleton horse, and then I mounted the skeleton horse, easy as pie. I did not register it, though. I did eventually get a different horse, named it Randy.
I love that.
I don't know why.
Randy!
So now I have a horse named Randy, but I did briefly have a skeleton horse, too.
Oh, that's nice.
I know, I would have probably registered it, but it ran away from me in a fright when I tried to get it to go off a cliff.
Well,
Not like a big cliff, and it's a skeleton. Like, what does it have to lose, you know?
it's bones.
It was bones wouldn't break apart on impact. I don't think.
There's now no way for us to know.
Yeah, I mean, I would have
Because
liked to
Ghost
experiment.
Randy ran away.
Ghost Randy. Skella Randy.
Skella Randy. We are so stupid.
What were we saying? Ghost horses.
Ghost
Sammael
horses.
getting his ass kicked.
Yeah. So the climax of this book is really whack, but then Rand gets his titular crown of swords.
Yeah, that's what the book is named after. There are really only 3 plot threads in this book, which is probably one of the reasons it's one of the better books.
Yeah.
We do have many of our main characters condensed into places, which is pretty nice and is not going to happen much after this point.
Yeah.
But we have Rand at the beginning with Perrin and Min and Fail and all of them. Perrin will eventually break away because while Rand is dealing with the rebels in Cairhien has, like, you know, constant uprising problems and people trying to take over because they hate Rand, which, like,
Relatable.
who can blame them?
Yeah.
And they're modeled after the French, so there's gotta be some
Yeah, there's like a
revolutions.
protest in France every day, and I respect that about them.
Yeah, what a mind-boggling realization it is that Les Mis is not about the French Revolution. You know,
Yeah.
when you're like 11, you think it's just about the French
Yeah.
Revolution.
They're
You
like-
don't know about the terror and the guillotines and whatnot. And
Yeah.
then it's like, oh, actually, it was just a sad students' revolution.
It's a different revolution.
Just one of the many times when college students in France were like, this is bad, actually.
Yeah. Actually, this sucks ass.
Yeah, it was basically the, what was that? What was that, like, sad college during, like, the war in Vietnam where they were having a protest and, like, they got, like, the cops or whoever opened fire on them.
Oh, was it Kent State?
Yeah, Kent State. The Kent State shooting.
Yeah, the Kent State
It's
shooting.
basically that. Les Mis is
Yeah.
the 1800s version of that. Okay,
Fuck the police, man. Anyway.
history, the French. Yeah, Perrin and Fail get sent away to go take care of Massima, which obviously will not happen. They get sent with another small contingent of, B characters, Berelain, Bane and Chiad Gaul,
Yep.
etc. Several of the wise ones, and Aes Sedai. A lot of this book is about taking care of the Aes Sedai who Rand more or less took captive in the last book. Either
Yes.
directly took captive of or have sworn fealty to him. So that's just going to be an omnipresent problem, which is not fun to deal with because there are so many of them.
Yeah.
If there were like 5, that would be one thing, but
No, but there's like 5,000.
yeah, there's quite a few. And the ones who swore fealty have to get, like, taken care of in a variety of ways, whereas the ones who got taken prisoner won't really get resolved until Varen's, what do you call it? Her lobotomy tent
Oh, yeah, her lobotomy tent.
over in Path of Daggers. Yeah, where she forces women to become loyal to Rand with mixed results, I will say.
Well, you wonder why.
Yeah, the ones who are just dark friends, but who get lobotomized into following Rand, it doesn't go super well, you know? What a shock.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Wow. Rand will have another encounter with Padan Fane and the Shadar Logoth dagger. He'll get his second Fisher King wound.
Yeah.
Do he and Min consummate their relationship in this book or in the next one?
I think it's in this book.
At
Well-
some point, they consummate their relationship. I think it might be the next book.
Yeah, I can't really remember. I know they have
Because they have some, like, weird slow burn shit for
Yeah.
quite a while.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's, like, in the latter third of this book or the, like, kind of first third of Path of Daggers.
I know the
can't really
inciting
remember.
incident is that Colavir, the attempted usurper, hangs herself. And that's just such a super disturbing way to start a sexual relationship.
Then it must be in this book, because I'm pretty sure Colavir dies in this book.
Okay, well then.
Not
Great.
that it really matters, because that scene I will completely skip over. I have nothing to say about it.
Gross.
Yeah, it's super sexy when people hang themselves. What?
That's so sad.
All the inciting incidents Robert Jordan has for Rand and his 3 ladies, it's like Elaine almost gets murdered and then bonds Rand as her warder with men in Avienda.
Robert Jordan is like plucking tropes off of the fan fiction websites and just sort of throwing them at the wall to see which ones will stick.
Like wet spaghetti.
Yeah, like Min and Rand is obviously an attempt at hurt/comfort, you know, that old trope.
Ugh.
But it's such a bad.
It's done so poorly.
It's done so poorly. He clearly missed the point of the trope. Kadsuan will get introduced in this book tragically because she's going to be in the rest of the series and she is such a shitty character.
I know.
Ugh. Such a downer.
Such a downer, really. They're like, would you like a worse, meaner, more psychotic version of Moiraine? And
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
They're like, hey, Moiraine did some pretty fucked up shit. Would you like an elderly version of her who does different and meaner fucked up shit?
I'm like, absolutely not. I don't.
No, I prefer my original Lady Gandalf. They're like, this is Lady Gandalf the White. And I'm like, no.
No.
You missed the point of Gandalf's transformation.
Yeah.
And also Lady Gandalf the White comes back in book, 14 or whatever after Matt
Yeah.
rescues her.
We can't have 2 Lady Gandalfs.
Yeah.
The universe will implode.
This is Lady Saruman.
You got me there.
Ugh, Lady Saruman. Egg does nothing of import, really. She finds out that Lan has been transferred, like he's in a prison, to Mirel, and she ruthlessly, exploits that information to make a number of women swear fealty to her, which is sort of the foundation for her taking over, in reality, the Aes Sedai in the next book or 2.
Yeah.
So this is foundation work, but honestly, like, for some reason we ended up with, like, 8 copies of Path of Daggers, so for quite a while that was the book we were graffitiing.
Yeah.
So I have, sort of skimmed the egg portions of that book quite a number of times. And so I am, like, pretty confident in saying that we could have cut out most of what happens with egg in this book.
Yeah, like, Path of Daggers has, like, a really good, like, not good and, like, morally good, but, like, a really solid and tidy arc for Egg sort of taking control of her band of merry Aes Sedai, so I don't really know what the point of any of the Crown of Swords stuff is, except just sort of abusing the fact that Lan belongs, in air quotes, to another person.
Yeah, you need, like, 2 egg chapters in this one, tops. And I don't really, we'll talk more about it when we get there, but I don't really get the concept of women swearing fealty to the Amaryllis Sea is a great way to start a government.
Yeah.
Then, of course, there's the Ebudar plot involving Matt, Nynaeve, Elaine, Avienda, and Birgitte, as well as Lan, towards the latter half of it.
Yeah.
I looked up on Wikipedia Crown of Swords, because while I was quite confident about knowing what happens in Ebudar, I wasn't so sure about the rest of it. Mm-hmm. And it was like, fun fact, A Crown of Swords takes place over the shortest time period in the series in only 11 days. And I was like, there's no way.
That is absurd.
That the Ebudar shit takes place over 11 days.
Yeah, so much happens.
Yeah. So we'll get to that, I guess. Also, I feel like there's a book later in the series that just all takes place over the same day, essentially.
I'm gonna have to make, like, one of those crazy Pepe Sylvia meme boards to track the timeline of Crown of Swords because
Right.
I simply do not believe it takes place in 11 days.
I know. Like, what? That's some D&D shit with
Yeah.
9 things happening every day.
Yeah.
And they're all important.
Yeah.
Um,
No.
Sadly, as is common, we won't get into Matt and Elaine and Nynaeve until, like, what feels like halfway through the book. Because we just front load the book with Rand and Egg. But in Ebu Dar, there's the ongoing search for the Bowl of the Winds. Nynaeve and Elaine will end up recruiting both the Sea Folk and the Kin, or the Knitting Circle, as they are sometimes called. The Kin / the Knitting Circle are an interesting concept, but are so totally overdone that they swiftly lose all interest.
Yeah. They become... I mean, once they and the Aes Sedai sort of collapse,
Yeah.
they become obsolete.
Yeah.
Because they just get folded into the way Aes Sedai do things instead of presenting sort of an alternate way of being.
Yeah, they start out as this very interesting, like, retirement community, more
Yeah.
or less, which is an interesting concept for
Yeah.
Aes Sedai, and sort of a loose thread that, if you're really invested in world building, is something you might have wondered about. What happens to these women who can channel but get kicked out of the tower?
Yeah.
For a variety of reasons. And here we find out, well, they've built a community, as women are wont to do. Mm-hmm. And, you know, especially as people who have just left an uber culty sort of papal
Yeah.
experience in the White Tower, of course would be looking for a community with other people like
Yeah.
them. So the Kin as that are really interesting, but as you said, they don't actually end up presenting an alternative way of doing things. They just get assimilated into the Aes Sedai. And that would also more or less be fine, I guess. Not the most interesting thing you could do, but it could be fine if all that happened in a book.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It happens in about 6 books. Mm-hmm. And that process is so long, so drawn out, that it is really insufferable. Because we have to keep track of so many Kin characters
Yeah.
who and differentiate between them and Aes Sedai, and it's just not possible. There are hundreds of Aes Sedai and Kin, and also now the Sea Folk
Yeah, the
and the
Sea
Aes
Folk.
Sedai.
And the wise ones.
Excuse me, the Ale.
Yeah, the ale. And then there's also like a million Ashaman at this point, and I'm like, too many magic people.
We have reached magic people saturation
Yeah,
point.
it's like that thing where it's like the most number of connections a person can have is like 140 or something.
Whoa.
Like, once you reach that point, I don't know if that's the correct number, but like once you reach that point, it like becomes more and more impossible for you to maintain connections or memory of people. And it's like, we reached 140 characters in the first Wheel of Time book.
Yeah, it's like when you go through your phone contact list and you come across a name and you're just like, who is this person?
The other day, I was like, I have no idea who this person
Yeah, like
is.
you have the numbers of people that you met on your London study abroad who you haven't spoken
Yeah.
to in 7 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's basically an ongoing experience with all of these characters.
Yeah.
Nynaeve and Lan get married after Nynaeve almost drowns, but then breaks through her block. Elaine is just sort of there, developing her relationship with Avienda. It's probably the only important thing that's going on with her. And Matt, of course, in his efforts to actually help the girls and move the plot along, ends up in the palace where Tylin sexually assaults him and will continue to do so for the remainder of his time there.
Yep.
At the end of the book, he goes looking for Oliver and gets left behind as the Shanshin attack the city.
Makes me so angry.
Yeah, it's a pretty upsetting little plot point.
Yeah.
It's also, as I am reminded by reading the first portion of Path of Daggers, doesn't, like, it would make more sense to me, well, I mean, we'll talk about this more in Path of Daggers, but it would make more sense to me if they were, like, the Shanshin start attacking while Matt is still out in the city and the girls are still in the palace.
Yeah.
That would make for a much more exciting thing, and a much more reasonable, I think, reason for them to leave Matt.
Yeah.
If they're just like, we have to get out now because the Shanshan will take us captive.
Yeah.
That would be interesting, I think. But instead, it's like a really organized movement.
It's an extremely organized, and talking about drawn out plot lines, the whole,
yeah.
like, getting the Bowl of the Winds and all the ladies out to the farm is, like, 200 pages of Paths of Daggers.
Seriously
Like, it
It's so bad.
doesn't need to be. But yeah, like, there's no urgency. They're just like, well, Matt will figure it out, and just fuck Matt, I guess. It's very annoying.
Well, in looking at the summaries of various characters,
Oh, excellent, excellent, excellent.
so these aren't my best. I feel like I say that every time, but these aren't my best. But here you go. These are the alternate titles for
Okay.
Crown of Swords.
Rand, heavy is the head that wears the stabby crown.
I should have said bleeding is the head that wears the stabby crown.
It really does feel like it should just be, like, cutting his temples all the time.
yeah, it's supposed to be like, a crown of thorns. Christ.
Do
Visual
you get it?
imagery
Rand
or
is a
stuff.
Jesus figure.
Do you understand that yet? We're in book 7. Christ.
Do you get it? Okay, egg in, like, a really dramatic font. Girl boss, gaslight, gatekeep.
I can really visualize the cover of this one.
Yeah.
It's pink.
Ooh.
Obviously.
I'm gonna design an alt, gaslight, girl boss, gatekeep, whatever,
Thank you.
for Crown of Swords.
That's what Egg is doing.
I know, egg really does have, like, a girl boss, gaslight, gatekeep, rise to power, and you're like, egg, what are you doing?
It's not great.
Knave, say yes to the dress, Ebudar.
Stupid.
No, I love this. That's my favorite one. Perrin. Telepathic wolves can't provide marriage counseling and other surprises.
That could actually be the title of Perrin's version for the next 4 books.
I mean, yeah. Perrin's like, I don't, wife. Meh. Okay. Elaine. What if an Instagram influencer was next in line to be the Queen of England? I feel like that's Elaine's entire character summary. Anyway, I can't think of a title for her. Hot Girl Summer? Stop Girl Summer. Hot Summer Girl. Girl Stop the Hot Summer. This is very good.
I should clarify I was in a meeting while writing these.
Girl Stop the Hot Summer is so good.
That's all she's doing.
Cat's one. Woman boss, not girl boss. Min, just the entire cool girl monologue from Gone Girl verbatim. Avienda, the adventures of Gal Pal, a girl boss sidekick. Morgaz, I'm still in this series somehow.
I mean, yeah, I think she has a couple points of view here.
Yeah.
And it's like, why?
Yeah, girl, why? Girl, stop.
Girl, no.
Sammael and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day.
I really like to think about Sammael getting attacked at the end of this book. He's just like, what the fuck?
Like eating his dinner.
He's like, I thought we were doing like a chess thing.
Yeah,
know,
I
slow
thought we were
burn.
having, like a slow
thought this
burn,
was very
sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we were, like, having a thing.
You're
Lews
gathering
Therin.
your armies, I'm gathering my armies.
Yeah, it's like foreplay, you know?
And Rand's like, no!
What a bitch.
Yeah.
Finally, Matt, I honestly don't have any jokes. His part of this book is so fucking grim.
It really is.
That's true. These are very good. Top faves.
Yeah.
Girl, stop the hot summer. And then Girl Boss Gaslight Gatekeep is very good. And Woman Boss, not Girl Boss. Those are my
I just
faves.
felt like Girl Boss fit all of the female characters in this,
Yeah.
I mean, series generally.
No, the amount of times in writing my blogs about the latter half of the series I have talked about Elaine having her girl boss moment is probably becoming insufferable.
I mean, they just all do. It's
Yeah.
so upsetting. I mean, and that really just goes to tell you about girl boss as a meme is just reflective of this certain branch of feminism,
Yeah.
which Robert Jordan is really embodying.
For
in
sure,
this
for sure.
series. But more on that later.
It's very feminist when women are committing the war crimes because it means they're in a position of power.
It's difficult to not talk about Rand's proportions on this book cover.
Look at his fucking arm.
It's like, I mean, look at where his feet are versus his head. He's like slanted so far forward. As usual, Darrell K. Sweet has never seen a human being before.
Well, I never noticed, like, what is happening? There's no way his hips could be turning like this for his spine to do that. Like,
What's happening?
Rand is being twisted apart in this.
Darrell K. Sweet was let out of his sensory prison. Sensory deprivation chamber.
Like, I think this is what humans
Once a
do.
year.
Yeah.
Once a year to draw a cover for the Wheel of Time, and as usual failed. Sorry, Darrell. We appreciate the effort, if not the
If not the
result.
outcome, yeah.
His forearms are way too weird and short. He's doing like a running man pose.
Yeah.
With his biceps having muscles that don't exist, I believe.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen, Chris Evans all CGI'd up
Yeah.
in his muscles, and it doesn't look like that.
No, I mean, there's like no definition. Like, usually biceps have like kind of a curve, you know?
Yeah.
His are just, it's like 2 tennis balls stuffed in a meat sack.
Bizarre. And then his head looks distinctly Arnold Schwarzenegger. Worst haircut of all time. Ugliest face of all time. How is this man having sex with anyone?
He does have those Chanel boots, though, or whatever is going on down there.
Great knee-high boots. And his little skirt.
I know, he's wearing like he's wearing
Where'd
what
his
I would have
sleeves
worn
go?
in middle school. Where's what?
Where'd his sleeves go? I mean, from this little rip, it's clear that they just,
Yeah, they just busted off.
just flexed so hard they went poof. God damn.
It's so funny.
Terrible book. Okay.
The cover is so funny, though. Look
know,
at Shadar Lagoth. I'm guessing that's what this is supposed to be.
Yeah, it's Shadar Lagoth, but then he's standing in front of a weird pit,
Yeah.
out of which a light post is coming, I think.
Yeah, like, is he going to Narnia? What's happening?
I don't know.
here?
Is that where he has his little Voldemort Harry Potter connection moment with Moradin?
Must be. Also, just Shadar Lagoth looks so funny. Like, it looks like a space city. Like, that is not how I would picture it.
If I were, like, there were Trollocs here, but if I were Darrell K. Sweet, I would have, like, had creepy little faces in the windows.
Yeah, that'd be way spookier than...
Yeah, R.I.P.
this
to Darrell,
eagle
but
back
I'm
here.
different. Okay, you guys, this has been our first episode back.
First episode back.
We will actually start talking about the Crown of Swords. Crown of Swords. With the text next time.
week.
But wanted our little slow burn introduction.
Yeah, we, unlike Rand, understand what it's like to be sexy and build up a slow burn romance.
I mean, plus this prologue is 55 pages long, so I didn't really want to talk about that all. We need to ease ourselves into the scalding water that is the beginning of this book. Overall, I like Crown of Swords. I'm looking forward to it, but yeah, and just sort of taking it chill.
Taking it chill pill.
Speaking of taking it chill, if you're one of our patrons on Patreon, you have probably already seen this announcement, but want to reiterate it here. We're restructuring Patreon a little bit to better suit our time and energy needs. We had a really great year there where both of us were working remotely, more or less, but I am back in the office several days a week, and it's a little harder to get things done. Plus, just, we've had a 2-month break, and that gives you some perspective on how much time you're spending on your Wheelie Time podcast.
That sure does.
So nothing's going to change with the weekly releases of our podcast. We might be a little more apt to taking breaks when they are needed, but if that is the case, you will know well in advance. On Patreon, we are deleting not any tiers, but on our $5 tier, we're no longer offering the hour or less feature. That was our video series. It was a pretty big time commitment because we were both doing extensive research on whatever topic it was. We really enjoyed doing it, but it was taking a big chunk of time and energy.
Yeah.
So we're no longer doing that. Instead, We Don't Watch Outlander is being bumped to the $5 tier. On the $3 tier is going to be Sally's blog, where she's reading Wheelie Time. On the $1 tier is our blooper reel. So all of the tiers are remaining intact, just the rewards are changing. That will not retroactively change any of the content. So if you were a, $1, if you're on the $1 tier, you will not lose access to the blogs that have been previously published up until August 2nd, when these changes will go into effect. We're sorry if that affects you negatively in any way, but our choice.
Yeah.
We are grateful for your support, however, we get it.
Yeah, thank you so much to everyone who continue to support us on Patreon during our break. We just really appreciate the support the community offered us in general during our break. Yeah, so just thank you for being the best. And we really appreciate you.
Yeah.
Just a heads up, I don't know how relevant this is to anybody, but if you are curious about what happened, about why we took a break, it's not something I really want to talk about on this podcast, but it is something I wrote about a little bit for our Letters to Hosier project, which will be released sometime around when this podcast is released. We haven't really figured that schedule out. You can listen to that. I understand the curiosity people might be having. That's just a human reaction. So you can listen to that, but just some trigger warnings for grief and the death of an infant. So
those will be, usually our letters are sort of combined into one letter. These ones will be released separately for fairly obvious reasons, I think. But thanks again for your support. We really appreciate the well wishes.
Yeah.
Very sweet. And we're happy to be back.
Happy to be back.
Yeah. Crown of Swords. I'm glad we're coming back to Crown of Swords. If we were coming back to, like, Lord of Chaos, I would have been like, oh.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
No, like, legitimately, if we were, like, had to restart with Path of Daggers, I'd be like, podcast is over. We had a good run.
We can't.
Yeah.
Getting through 7 books in the series would have been commendable. It's a solid 50%.
Yeah.
But no, we are persevering.
We are persevering. I guess next time maybe we should, or I'll touch on it here. These are our feelings about such Wheel of Time news as the Age of Legends getting a movie trilogy and Wheel of Time Season 2 beginning filming. Okay.
Hubris.
Yeah, that's what Emily said about the Age of Legends trilogy. She was like, the hubris of white men.
I just don't believe it will be anything spectacular or good. I'd love to be proven wrong, but I don't actually think adaptations of the Age of Legends are necessary. But if you're excited for it, great. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it plays out, whether it's like a dumpster fire or like really pleasant. I think it will just be kind of funny either
Bread
way.
and circuses, baby. I'll be here on the sidelines eating popcorn.
Yeah. So, that I guess we did our due diligence as Wheel of Time podcasters on commenting on the news.
Yeah.
There we go. Check.
I'm sure it'll come up as more things
As
come up.
we get more into like Age of Legends flashbacks or whatever happens.
Yeah, Lews Therin.
I can be like, LOL.
Nutter.
Is this what the movie's gonna be like?
God, I hope.
Okay, just one question though. Who would you cast to play Lews Therin?
Boy, I haven't thought about it.
Because I feel like there has to be like really some comedic potential there.
Army Hammer. Final answer.
Who can say where the road goes?
Who would you choose?
I don't know now. Now I have Army Hammer stuck in my head.
You're welcome.
Oh no.
Okay, guys, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.